Shalom, shalom. While I was updating my research on David Koresh and the events that happened at Waco in 1993, I read two things that really stuck with me, and I want to share those with you now. The first is a statement that was made by psychiatrist Alan Stone. He said that dangerous cults tend to fall into one of two categories: those who use defensive violence and those who use offensive violence. Cults that tend to use defensive violence often separate themselves from the societies where they're located. They choose violence whenever their personal space that they have set up for themselves is encroached upon by an outside force. Cults that use offensive violence will typically go out and use violence completely unprovoked outside of the space that they have set aside for themselves. Dr. Stone believed that what happened at Waco was a perfect example of a cult using defensive violence. Dr. Stone said that according to historical evidence, cults that tend to withdraw from society, even apocalyptic cults, typically do not resort to violence unless violence is brought to them from an outside place. Now, could this have been true about the Branch Davidians? We'll never know, but it is an interesting idea to think about how things could have gone differently had David Koresh been arrested in town instead of the ATF going to Mount Carmel. The second thing was something I read in an article that was run by KWTX. Yes, the same KWTX that we talked about back in 1993. Earlier this year, for the 30th anniversary of the Waco siege, KWTX did interviews with the ATF survivors from that day. In one of those articles, a reporter said 10 people died that day. Some were just trying to do their job. Others were just trying to worship their God. That really hit me because a lot of times we are so quick to demonize one side or the other, or to forget that these people were people. They were just people living their life, doing their job. This happened on a Sunday, so the Branch Davidians were worshiping, the ATF agents. It was a regular day of work for them. It was just such a tragedy in America, and I think it's important that even 30 years later, that we are still talking about what happened. So I appreciate all of you who are along for this journey with me and have been following along with these videos.